a felony charge for grand theft.
We ate the whole pie.
Alright, welcome to our couch. Today we have to tell you the story of how a psychopath caught us slipping, and that's how we ended up in the trailer park. And this really goes back to 2018 when Lex's dad died.
Yeah, bad decisions and then life happening, which some of it's out of your control, but then the bad decisions were in your control, but they compound, like the happenings compound the bad decisions and make them, like, make things worse.
Alright, so boom, now it's January 2020. We had just packed up our house in Hollywood. We were renting a 3-bedroom house with a mango tree in the backyard. It was $1,800 a month.
I think they're ready.
Which is way too much because it was just us and our 2 dogs. So we wanted to cut down on expenses and get a mobile home, get something like $10,000, something cheap. You know, we had the money saved up to get it. Just get something like that so we can start saving up money and eventually build a family. And so we drive to Tampa and we're actually staying in Dunedin, which is, Clearwater, if you know that area, it's a little north of that. But we were staying in someone's house in an Airbnb in their spare bedroom. And it was us and our 2 dogs in a bedroom. And so we had 5 days or so booked.
Yeah.
And we needed to find a place to stay. We find a mobile home within 5 days. I mean, not a brilliant strategy for, doing your research and finding a good place to stay. But, we're young, sometimes you do stupid things. But so that was our setup. It was a little crammed, not the best.
Airbnb is not cheap, as you guys probably know. It's
right.
Like for 5 days, you could easily pay $400. That's a cheap Airbnb too. So it's like $400. That's almost what you pay per month when you own a trailer.
Right, and so that was our first big mistake, was putting ourselves in a bind, so we need to find a place very quickly. We didn't have time to research.
Yeah.
So that's mistake number 1, to fall in prey to a psychopath. And then secondly, we had a cousin who was having a party down in Tampa for Gasparilla, which is like a big pirate festival. And the party we had our Airbnb booked for 5 days, and then we were gonna go stay at another Airbnb with them for their birthday party.
Right.
And so we needed to find a place. It gave us about 8 days, but 3 days we were going to be partying for 3 days straight at an Airbnb.
And that Airbnb is like 30 minutes away from the area.
Yep.
Yeah. And we had already paid a deposit for that party too. So for the Airbnb, because it was like a sort of baby mansion. Like it was like a really nice house with a pool and stuff. And so we paid like a fat deposit on that.
Yeah, so that's mistake number 2. We gave ourselves a short amount of time to find a place. And then within that short amount of time, we were going to be partying like we were in college for 3 days. But so we ran into this person, and she alleged to be this great mobile home investor.
Yeah.
And she said she owned so many mobile homes, and it allowed her to go skydiving naked in Dubai and travel the world and all these things. Yeah. And okay, cool. We could buy a mobile home from this person.
She says she bought a gas station and she bought a beach bar shack, and she's basically living this life. She's only like 25, and so basically, she seemed like she had her stuff together.
Right, and she did have the Cava bar place on the beach, but it turned out she was squatting there and wasn't paying the rent. We didn't know that at the time. That came out later. But she did have a lot of the proof that she was successful at investing in mobile homes. Yeah. So we're like, okay, well, she's successful. This is cool.
We're like, yeah, so we'll meet up with her. She's like, okay, well, can you meet me at my place? And so we're like, okay. So we meet her at her house.
And that is this place that we're in right now. She had it rented out room by room. And originally, we weren't even looking for a rental place. We were looking for just a place to stay. But she wanted to show us this place. So it was rented out room by room, 1 to 2 people in each room. I forget what she was charging, but she's like, this place makes $5,000 a month. Yeah, woo wop. You know what I mean? So we're like, oh, wow. So instead of buying a mobile home, shoot, if we invest in this mobile home, then we could be making money. Right. We could stay in a room, rent out the other rooms.
Right.
Everything would be gravy.
So it multiplies our investment.
And so we're in this little short window looking for a place to stay. We did not do our due diligence. And she got us to sign this contract before we even talked to the park about do they allow rentals and this kind of stuff. And so we put down the first night, how much money?
Like $3,500.
$3,500.
The
first day we met the person.
Within an hour probably of meeting her.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
That was during the party too.
We had already put money down before that, within the first 5 days of being over here.
Yeah.
But that's mistake number 3. Making a big decision spur of the moment
with somebody you just met.
Right, with someone you just met. Not even 24 hours to think about it. To cool off, you know what I mean? To spur the moment. Boom. But, I mean, that's the situation we put ourselves in by giving ourselves like 4 or 5 days to find a place to live.
But we did that because we were in such poor mental health that we're like
we're not thinking straight.
Like we were like, dang, our lease is about to end, but like we're barely hanging on as it is.
Yeah, I mean, for me, 2015 to 2019 was like the worst mental state I've been in for my whole entire life. It was insane.
The thing about this girl, guys, is that it's not like you're probably sitting there like, how are you going to give her money and like not do background checks and not, but she's getting all the people around her. Like, remember, people were living here when we got this place. All of those people were basically in her web, and she sort of had them kind of blackmailed to where like they are not going to cross or trespass against her because they didn't want the wrath of what she came with. She had
she was their landlord.
And she's their landlord. She had boyfriends, ex-boyfriends. She had the manager of the park under, her sort of seduction or whatever.
Basically, at this point, we're roped into this phony little contract. And we put down, by the time we started realizing it was a little sketch, we were, $15,000 in or so?
Something like that. In hindsight, there was like little signs and red flags and stuff like that. But in the moment, she was very good at picking up on your vulnerabilities and using that against you.
Yeah, I mean, it was like Jodi Arias or like Casey Anthony vibes. But if you were just to meet them out about in life and not watch them being interrogated, but how they could just lie and come off like it's just completely normal and straight-faced, it was insane. But if we were just taking a little bit of time to do the smallest amount of research on this person, like we would have just searched in the public court records, like just searched her name. What would have came up was a month before we met her, a felony charge for grand theft, domestic stalking injunction. She has like 10 of those on all different people. 4 within the last 6 months before we met her. She had hit and run. She lost her driver's license for that. And drunk driving? Was she drunk when she did the hit and run?
Something like that.
Something. She either had hit and run and drunk driving, or it was combined. But several careless driving, reckless driving. And here, after we had paid $19,000, we're already paid up. She said she needed 2 weeks to move out. And so we were staying in another one of her trailers for 2 weeks, which was terrible, which ended up being a month to move out. She didn't move out in 2 weeks, and she just had another reason why she didn't move out, another reason. So we stayed there for a month, and then we found out that she was stealing the electricity in the place that we were staying. Like, she had her boyfriend come and, like, play with the electrical box outside to get free electricity. And so once we found that out, we left. And we went to New Orleans to stay with her mom while she moved out of the trailer that we were supposed to be getting. Yeah. Her boyfriend and her got into a fight one night, and he like ripped out the window unit from the house, like the air conditioning window unit, broke some stuff in the house and whatnot. And the cops were called, and then the park was like, "Wait, why are you still living here?" And they bought the place, and so they put an eviction notice on the place for her having a pit bull and breaking rules and all kind of stuff. And so then we came down from New Orleans and finally moved in. But if it wasn't for that, she may have never left, and we were so stupid just believing all her lies, like. Probably would have took the $19,000 and stayed here.
Also, the only reason we found out about the electrical situation was because the trailer that she had us staying in the electricity was basically not working in almost the whole trailer. And we had told her, hey, the fridge doesn't work, the oven doesn't work, like we don't have any lights. One day she, I think, was trying to show the place or something to sell it. And she had her boyfriend come over because the electric wasn't working. And it turns out he just went to the
electric box and just Jimmy rigged it up. He's like, it's working now. Yeah, he left the cap off. I guess they waterproofed the box. And then Duke Energy was in the area and they saw it and they were looking for the cap and knocked on the door like, you know anything about this cap or whatnot? Mm-hmm. We didn't know where it was, but eventually they found it and put it back together, but they still didn't realize that it was like a Jimmy rigged electric box.
Yeah, we got out of there.
We were gone within 24 hours.
We were like,
I want nothing to do with this.
Yeah. And then on top of that, somebody came by and put a letter on the building, and the letter had someone else's name. So I don't even think that she owned that trailer at all.
Yeah, but then we found out that she buys trailers. You can only own like one trailer per park because you're not supposed to be doing these massive rental schemes, and she buys them in other people's names. I has a friend sign for
allegedly.
It. That's what she said.
That's what she said.
But it could have been. It could have been like she was trying to sell it and didn't own it. I don't know.
She also has some pending cases right now for not owning a trailer and selling it, taking the money.
Yeah, all the charges I read before, the grand theft, the careless driving, the DUI, the hit and run, that was all before we met her. So that was stuff we could have researched on our own. It's public record, and we didn't. Now, these charges are since we've met. All right, another domestic injunction, stalking, whatever. Unlawful detainer. This was at the kava bar that she was squatting in, pretending she was running the business. Felony grand theft. Felony scheme to defraud, which there's a warrant out for that one because she skipped her court date. False verification of ownership. There's a warrant out for that one. That's when she broke into a house. What was the value of the house? It's all in the public record. She keeps up with it better than me.
I have no idea. I don't remember.
It was 6 figures.
It was 6 figures.
It was a house.
It was like...
This person was away on vacation. Like, this was their vacation home. She broke in, staged the house, got rid of the furniture, pawned a bunch of stuff, and she was pretending it was her house. She had a false driver's license and falsified everything and was trying to sell this house to someone. And then the real estate attorney for that guy figured out, like, hey, this looks like fraud. And so that was another thing she did, and that's this false verification of ownership. In this other case, criminal use of personal identification information, grand theft, trespass in structure or conveyance, scheme to defraud. So those two are related cases, related charges.
So
those are all felonies. There's a warrant out for that case as well. All those are bundled together, and it was one court date, and she skipped it.
Yeah.
And then there's another charge for felony grand theft and felony grand theft motor vehicle.
Allegedly, she stole the bail bondsman's car.
All right. So, I mean, these are some of the reasons we think this woman is probably a psychopath or a sociopath. I mean, when you break into someone's house, falsify a driver's license and a deed and whatever you need to say you own a house, falsify all this stuff, and then go try to sell it to someone for 6 figures, you might be a psychopath or a sociopath.
There's no conscience.
Right. Like, it's no regard for other people's feelings or livelihood or anything. Just like, she'll do anything to gain.
Even when she was losing that beach bar, right? We didn't know all the details of it, but we had kind of like started to get hip to how she moves and stuff. She was telling us that it was basically their fault.
It was like one commercial spot, and her and another business owner were splitting the spot and both running their businesses out of it. And she was paying him the rent, and he never paid the landlord.
Yeah.
Which was probably a bold-faced lie. Because it's just her on the squatting thing. It's not anyone else.
And she was just telling everybody it's their fault. Her bar's still open. She was just bragging. Oh, guys.
And she told us that she just wants to stay open past spring break. To get the spring break crowd.
Yeah. She's relatable. She'll talk to you and care about what you have to say. And, you know, she's not like you would think crazy. You know, this is a different kind of crazy. When I think of crazy, I think of people who have lost the ability to control their emotions so they can just flip out at any moment.
Right.
You know, and you see a lot of homeless people that have done drugs and things that have kind of taken them there. I've never come across somebody who has absolutely zero conscience, zero accountability, and is just like a predator, just constantly looking for ways to like screw so many different people, not even for like any type of objective.
Right.
Like, she made enough money. She could have bought legitimate real estate, which would be hard to take back from her. And she could have had her life set up kind of decent and comfortably.
Yeah, I mean, it turns out she's basically a slumlord, and she was getting people who couldn't pass background checks. We didn't know that at the time. She told us she does background checks and told us what software to get to do background checks and make sure no one has anything on their record, and she doesn't have any tenants that do drugs or anything like that.
Yeah, she's like, I have a no smoking policy, and, you know, all that. She's like helping one tenant didn't have a job, and so she's like, oh, I'm gonna hire this person at my beach bar, and
it sounds good, but she would do things like that, like hire them at her beach bar, so she controls their whole life. Like, she controls their income and where they live, and now we know it's people who could not pass a background check at other places.
Yeah.
But they thought they were getting a legitimate background check. She would get their information and do the background check, and then eventually, when everything blew up, when she was fighting with her boyfriend and stuff, they were surprised that the park didn't like have a background check. Because she would tell them she was getting the information for the background check for the park. But really, she was just running it herself, just to kind of see their information. If she was even running it. She was charging them for the background check, too. Honestly, I highly doubt she even was. But some other things that were kind of odd while we were here. I had sugar poured in my gas tank in my car. I have a Honda Civic. As well as a truck. And someone put sugar in the gas tank. And I mean, mind you, this is a new town. We don't know anyone.
We don't know anyone. And our neighbors are nice.
Yeah,
like, now that we
nice.
know people, it's like, they're nice and they mind their own business. They have kids.
Yeah, she was the only person we knew. And like, we had bought a bunch of security cameras because we realized she was pretty crazy. But I didn't realize Sugar was in that car for several weeks, so the footage was on a 2 or 3 week loop. And it was already past the loop, so I couldn't even see the security cameras, which sucked because I was driving the truck and the Civic was just parked. My truck window got broken out. Eventually, we were telling her that this place had rats, and she was like, oh yeah, we thought there was a rat problem. And then we found a rat trap on the roof. She knew this place had rats. Didn't tell us. There's a water leak here that she knew about that she did not tell us about. The park told us, like, oh, there's a water leak here, and we told her about it, and that's why the water bill's so high. So they told us that she knew about it, and she never told us anything.
We also were getting visits from police just about every month.
Yeah.
Like every
looking
single month.
for her or people who lived here.
Parole officers, police officers, detectives, we got the sheriff showed up. We actually have a video on our channel, on our music reaction channel, where the police pulled up during the middle of a reaction.
Now you can't see the actual police pull up. You hear a loud knock, like they knocked on our window, and you see us get up.
And then we cut the video.
Thing to marry them.
No.
UPS.
On the window though?
I'm coming, okay?
It's the boys.
Oh. Guess I should stop this. Okay.
So after the whole situation kind of blew up when she was fighting with her boyfriend, we went to the park to try and let them allow some people to stay here until they could find a place to stay. Like once the park's like, no, you can't rent this place out, we were trying to make things go as smoothly as possible. So we had a couple people staying here, and we didn't charge them anything. But then they started telling us like the stuff that they were doing, like she was doing.
Oh, yeah.
And they were like, yeah, we wanted to warn you guys the whole time, but we just didn't really know you, couldn't tell you and this.
AKA they needed a place to stay, and they didn't want to compromise that to
right.
help us.
Because self-preservation, first law of nature. So it is what it is. One of the guys was telling us that her boyfriend approached him to do some credit card fraud stuff, like let him use his credit card, run it up, and then just report it stolen kind of thing. And he wouldn't do it. Another person said they did do it. A female tenant. But yeah, they used to rope them into all kind of criminal activity.
And then another person got her expensive bike stolen.
Yeah, the bike was like a $3,000 bike. Her boyfriend worked on bikes, so he gave her a bike.
And old girl put that bike on Let Go or Offer Up or one of those sites with her hands in the photo to where you knew she stole the bike.
And it was her account.
When we called the park to do some maintenance on the water leak that we told you guys about in the last episode, the maintenance guy was like, oh yeah, I think she's a con artist. Like, she didn't tell you guys about this. And we found out that she had sold a similar room rental setup to another guy. I think his went belly up too.
Oh, we forgot a case to mention.
What?
It's at the very top. You see a transaction or a case in the public record that says business transactions.
Oh!
You read me the details of that case. And that case was she sold a guy a mobile home that she did not own. And he gave her $13,000, I believe. Yeah. And then she didn't even have the title to it. So I don't know how, she must have falsified one or something. I don't know what happened with that one. But he gave her $13,000. She gave him nothing. And he was like, well, I want my money back. And she's like, I don't do refunds. And so he's suing her for tread blade damages and whatnot. So it's like $30-something thousand.
Yeah.
Meanwhile,
recently discovered that now she's scheduled to change her name in the state of Missouri.
Yeah, she fled Florida,
month.
Which is why she has 3 warrants out for her arrest. So I don't think we'll be seeing her anytime soon.
I don't think so. Oh, and all her dogs died since all this happened.
3 dogs.
She had 3
One
dogs.
was old, 2 were young. They were puppies.
2 were puppies.
Under 2 years old.
And one was Alaskan. Or no, they didn't all die. They either got put down or died. I remember her complaining about they all had bowel problems. So, AKA, I don't think she's feeding them or taking them out properly. But
how do all 3 of your dogs have the same issue and they're all from 3 different genetic lines? 3 different breeds.
Yeah. And her bedroom, like when we first moved in, the bedroom she was staying in smelled like poop and pee. Like it smelled very, very, very bad. So anyway, since this all took place, we've been here about 1.5 years. So in the last 1.5 years, all 3 of her dogs are now dead.
All right, so basically where we are today, we are in a court case with her, which I don't want to get into, but it's going to be drawn out because she is
fleeing
fugitive
fleeing
from justice right
and
now.
changing her name.
And it's been drawn out because she doesn't want to be in court with us. Because we have a lot of evidence. We got security cameras. We document everything. So she just tried to pull a quick one on us in court, and we're in court with her right now. So we can't speak too much on that. But she's in Missouri trying to change her name, and we're in Florida chilling. But the
chilling
whole
with you guys.
reason we told this story is not so you guys are like, oh, they're poor Brad and Legs, and we're like, oh, woe is me. We're victims. Woo woo what? It's not the point. It's not the point. Like, we got into this situation on our own. We made a lot of mistakes. This is a warning for people. This story has, you know.
It has a silver lining.
It does have a silver lining, but things don't always end up great. But you can learn from every situation. But this is a warning for people: don't make important decisions when you're not in a good mental place. It's stuff. It makes sense to you in the time from that poor headspace, you know. But then looking back on it, like, what were we thinking? And we really gave ourselves 5 days to find a place to live.
Yeah.
Like, that is insane.
Shelled out cash. And one of those
To a person we
payments-
just met.
To a person we just met. And one of those payments, she was like, oh, don't transfer it to my bank because I don't want to cross the threshold to blah, 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 blah,
Across
blah.
the threshold of like
Alert.
$10,000 and the IRS knows about it. Oh yeah, she also told us she
Yeah.
has not paid taxes in years.
Yeah, who knows her history? Who knows if anything she said was true? But to me, this was a lesson in like beware of psychopaths and predators because they don't look or act or seem like weirdos or creeps or crazy people. Like
They can be very charismatic.
They can be like, she was an excellent salesperson, and if she wasn't so
Criminal. She'd probably be a successful business woman, probably a CEO or something. You know,
Yeah.
they say a lot of CEOs are like narcissistic or
Yeah.
psychopathic.
Yeah.
I could see it.
I could
If
totally
If
see
she
it.
took that skill of selling and persuasion and took it into a legal direction and maybe did like gray area sketchy stuff like Big Pharma does and stuff like that,
Right.
probably be a psychopath CEO
Yeah.
that does unethical things to get a lot of money, but you find
Yeah.
the gray areas where it's not illegal.
Yeah.
Like, that would have been her lane.
And she would probably have made a lot more money, honestly, because, I mean, dealing in trailer parks, who knows how much she made? I know at one point she had $26,000 in her purse.
Yeah.
Cash. Which should have been a red flag. But yeah,
So
beware.
we were already roped in at that point.
Yeah, true. What can we do? Especially when all of our savings is with her.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like...
That $19,000 was literally all the money we had in our bank account. And we had less than $1,000 after putting that down. And we're like, oh, we'll just make money. Which we did survive.
Yeah.
That's like, oh, we want this investment. We'll just put it all in and make and make more money.
Yeah.
But that was dumb. That was another mistake. Literally investing all the money we had.
Yeah.
Investing into.
Yeah. But I mean, it was just a perfect storm because it's like, for one, it's like when it sounds too good to be true. It's such a like idiom, and I hate listening to idioms because so many of them are so like annoyingly, like, you know what I mean? It's just kind of like everybody says it, but who really knows what they're talking about because they've never experienced it, because they just say it and take the advice, you know? But this was a situation where I guess it would have applied.
But I feel we've learned a lot through this experience.
For sure. For sure. And also,
I mean, we needed that. We needed
we
that
did.
maturity.
Oh my
We were just
gosh.
too bright-eyed and bushy-tailed about life. And
That's
so
so true.
I'm grateful for the experience, even though I would never want to go through it again. But we learned a lot. Like now, with our other YouTube channel, people are always trying to pay us for something, sponsorships, like rope us into things.
right.
And we don't get into things quickly at
No.
all. Matter of fact,
Oh,
we haven't
no.
taken any sponsorships yet. Because like we
No.
do our research now, we're very slow to make these decisions.
Right.
Like,
For sure. For sure. Pretty crazy stuff. There's definitely crazy people out there, you guys. Be careful, because I think it was a perfect storm of being in a bad place mentally to where we didn't see what was right in front of us.
yep, and we had never dealt with a crazy person.
And I'm not talking about exes and like, you know what I mean? I'm not talking about,
Someone who gets loud at the family dinner.
yeah. I'm not talking about that kind of crazy. I'm talking about different.
Yeah, you didn't even mention the whole boyfriend splitting a head with a pipe thing.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
This story just keeps going and going.
It could go on for days.
Do you want to tell that one?
Sure. Basically, somehow she dumped the boyfriend she was with when we met her and got a new boyfriend, and essentially somehow seduced the old boyfriend to pull up on her and the new boyfriend, and the old boyfriend hit the new boyfriend in the head with a pipe and split his head open.
But while they were hugging.
Or something.
While the girl, the psychopath, was hugging the
new boyfriend.
The new boyfriend.
Something like that.
Yeah, because these guys were basically under her control. Like she did some kind of, psycho jujitsu on these guys mentally. And the old boyfriend, he got a bunch of charges while they were together. Hasn't had a single criminal charge since they separated.
Since she fled the state.
Yeah. Yeah, she also told us a story about how they would go to vacant mobile home parks, like that decrepit or whatever happens with those. They shut them down. And they would steal the air conditioning window units from the parks and all kind of stuff, take them to pawn shops. I mean, she was psycho. But
savage.
It's getting long.
Savage.
It's getting
long.
Well,
guys.
So the moral of the story is, don't rush to make important decisions. Take care of your mental health. Don't make important decisions when you know you're in a bad mental place. Like, we knew we were not in the best headspace. We knew this. It wasn't like, oh, yeah, we're great. Like, no, we knew, like, dang, we're in a rough spot right now. Like, both of us were.
Yeah.
But,
and you can even be, like, not intending to do anything. Like, you could totally be having good intentions. I'm just trying to get, food and shelter. But it's like, if you're in a poor mental space, you need to slow down everything.
Get a second opinion and a third opinion. Call some relatives or friends who are in a good headspace.
Shoot.
Run it by them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, slow down and sit and be still.
Right. Do a little research if you're going to do a business deal with someone. Do a little background check. You don't even have to pay for it. Search public records of places they've lived and whatnot. Pay for a background check if you really want. See the person's character.
Yeah.
But we've learned a ton of lessons from this one experience. So it's like more valuable than school, and it costs less. Like college.
That's true.
Like college costs way more than that, and I learned less in college than I did from this one $19,000 mistake.
Well,
it's like if I could take away one experience from my life, this whole situation, or college, I would take away college. I would keep this because I learned so much more about the real world with this situation. Right. You come out of college, you're still just a big old kid, but you think you're grown.
Right. So your lessons are coming.
Right. And then life hits you.
Yeah. And I feel like when life hits you, it doesn't just like hit you. It beats you up. Like it literally freaking whoops your butt. Like,
talk to him.
It like tries to kill you many times. You know what I'm saying? It like freaking pistol whips you.
But this situation has changed our lives so much. It's made us just so much more grateful for like the small things in life. That's why we can talk about it and laugh about it and all these kind of things. Just like having food and shelter and each other, couch gang, and like we have a YouTube channel. Like so much more grateful for just every little thing.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah.
But yeah, so after this experience, we've just been happier people. And it's funny because on our other YouTube channel, the reaction channel, we get accused of being high all the time. Every week, almost every day. Yeah. People are like, oh, I love this channel. These people are always high. Or some people are like, I hate this channel because these people are always on this channel roasted. Like, what? We have never once been under the influence on this channel. Like, we don't drink before we shoot. We don't smoke. And we don't even really smoke much ever.
Right.
But yeah, we don't shoot videos under the influence of anything except just high on life. But people think we're literally high on whatever drug they're imagining.
Right. I've seen somebody say that we like ripped some acid or something before. Yeah. It was maybe like 3-4 days ago. We
got to post some of these comments on the screen if we can find them.
Yeah. It's like, no.
But
no.
That's what a little humble pie will do for you if you just eat it.
We ate the whole pie.
Don't resist it. Just eat the humble pie. Admit you've been defeated. Admit you made some mistakes. Don't blame other people so you can learn from your mistakes. Just blame other people for everything. You're never going to learn. You're going to repeat the same mistakes next time a situation like that presents itself. So eat your humble pie. Eat it willingly. Learn your lessons. All right. We want to hear from you. Have you ever had a run-in with someone you suspect to be a psychopath or a sociopath? If you have, leave us a comment down below. We would love to hear your story. We might be able to relate.
Well, thank you guys for watching this video. We appreciate you. We love you. And until next time, that's a wrap.
She's going to be behind bars.
Because her warrants are like $100,000. She's like 100. So, I mean, that's bounty hunter level. Like.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. Tell me, man, what do you know? What do you know? Me and my boys on the road. We to go. She told me, boy, you to go. Like, I don't know. But I don't